Mickey 17 is not the best film of the year, but it's a film that you should watch. Like the director's other films, Snowpiercer and Parasite, this is a bloody tale of class inequality. And what a time to be making these films in the US as the world's richest man takes a sledgehammer to the government, while the average American struggles to afford eggs. In Parasite, the rich live in architecture fresh out of a millionaire's catalogue, while the poor slum it out in flood-infested shacks. Likewise, in Snowpiercer, the rich live in gardens, while the poor live in cages eating insects, albeit they both live on a train. And Mickey 17 is a fusion of these two films, but on steroids. The poor live in cages and shoeboxes, while Mark Ruffalo's character, Kenneth Marshall, lives in luxury, albeit on a spaceship. And so we have the film's hero, Mickey, played by Robert Pattinson. He is an expendable, and thank goodness they didn't call the film The Expendables. And in the film, expendables are able to live their life again and again. They respawn after death like a video game character. This means that the crew torture him and kill him again and again, all in the name of science, like a lab rat. Does that new planet have a virus? Get Mickey to go out there and catch the virus so we can find out. After death, Mickey is then respawned in his original physical self with all of the memories from his past self as well, including how he had died. And guess what? Mickey hates it. While his physical health is back to normal, his mental health is tortured more and more with each death. By his 17th reincarnation, Mickey is a trembling, quiet, timid mess. And that's where the film gets its title. We follow the 17th reincarnation, Mickey 17. And here we see one of the film's first critiques: capitalism. The expendable labour of workers who put their heart and soul into their job. A system where output and labour prioritises mental well-being and health. The question is, does the spaceship society reward Mickey for his hard work? Here's a better question. Does your boss reward you with extra money and a pay rise after you've worked hard? Of course not. Mickey is dehumanized. He is tested on, he is poisoned, he is tortured, and at the end of all of that, he is still treated like dirt. His colleagues steal his food and leave him to die. You really see this division between Marshall and Mickey when Marshall goes to shoot Mickey at one point and Marshall's wife says, "Stop, don't shoot him. You'll get blood on the nice and expensive rug." There is also the imperialist side of the film. Now, this is not new. Every science fiction film talks about colonialism and this idea of human beings going onto another planet and taking over, much in the same way that human beings used to invade and still do invade countries. And here, the original inhabitants of the planet that the crew land on are dehumanized, and they are made out to be hostile and the enemy, despite the fact that they are quite peaceful and they save Robert Pattinson's character at the start of the film. Until the character Nasha, played by Naomi Aki, says they're not aliens, we are. But the film doesn't get everything about politics right. Mark Ruffalo is a strong critic of the current US president and adopts Trump's speaking style for the role. Beautiful hand gesture, makeup, hairstyle, and tendency for sudden rage. The film denies that this is a Trump impersonation, but come on. There's nothing wrong with a funny US presidential imitation, but this film doesn't land every single punch. Written before Trump won the 2024 election, Marshall is described as a failed politician who ran for president and lost twice. Close similarity to Trump, but not close enough. Quite bizarrely, the film also features an assassination attempt on Marshall, in which the bullet narrowly misses him and scrapes his cheek. Apparently, this was written before the assassination attempt on Trump, but the parallel is quite bizarre. If it was written after, then I'd say the mocking of an event in which people did die and a US candidate was nearly shot to death is probably in bad taste. And if just a coincidence, well, not quite close enough, because the bullet actually hit Trump on the other side of the face, and also it was his ear rather than his cheek. But still, pretty weird. Ruffalo's character, my favourite in the film by the way, is good satire on authoritarian leadership and the perils of demagoguery. But as the film rushes its ending, Marshall's end to the regime is fast, smooth and explosive. Rarely does a leader so formidable go down so quickly, and rarely does an establishment turn on its leader without a little bit more warning in the background as well. But more accurately, rarely does a country or rarely does a political system recover so fast after the collapse of such a political giant. Usually in the aftermath of a government collapse, a system is often tired, worn out, and takes years of reform. But in Mickey 17, Nasher becomes promoted, the committee fixes everything with the system, and politics is a better place almost immediately. That is a fantasy. The reality is that once a government falls, there's a lot more work to be done, and the film seems to rush through all of that. It lives on the idea that once you get rid of one person, it's happily ever after. The director has a history of making films like this about political class, and this film is no different. However, it's also a film where you can kind of sit back and ignore the political metaphors. The big explosions, gruesome death scenes, and constant plot twists are enough of a distraction for you to sit back and just go along for the ride. But isn't that, after all, also politics?